In this last video, we're going to impart a crimp on the 10-308 Winchester cases that we've loaded and seated bullets in. Crimping used to be something that intimidated me a lot more than it does anymore because of the advent of the Lee crimp dies. They're the first time that I believe where you can get a really precise, repeatable crimp that you can apply to all bullets with any particular load that you've worked up. There's really only two reasons why you would crimp a bullet in a case in the first place. The one most obvious and most important is that you want to eliminate bullet creep, and that would be the movement of the bullet in the case as a result of recoil in the gun when it's the round that's not being fired. So if it's in a firearm and a round is fired, the recoil, if it causes that bullet to move either further out or further into the case, that's called bullet creep, and that's what you don't want. That's going to affect your accuracy. It could affect the performance of the cartridge. It could also, in some instances, cause significant and potentially dangerous changes in pressure in the cases. So the other reason for crimping a bullet in a case is because it can have an effect on combustion. Some powders will perform better if the bullet is slightly retarded before it begins exiting the case, so that you get more complete combustion in the powder. In this instance, that's not an issue for us, but we do want to make sure we don't get bullet creep. And if you'll notice, virtually all commercial ammunition, which is becoming quite accurate, all has a crimp applied to it as well. As you can see in this picture, the bullet on the far right is a commercial round that was produced by Remington. It's their core-locked round, and you can see a very distinct pinch-style crimp. That's the bullet on the right. The very next one to the right, second from the right, is one that I have loaded here before a crimp. That's with no crimp. The third bullet from the right has what we're going to do here with the light crimp installed, and then the very far left one has the heavy crimp installed with the Lee crimp die, and you'll notice it's surprisingly similar to the pinch crimp of the Remington case. Now, the way we install and insert and adjust the crimp die in the Lee set is to simply advance the ram with the shell holder all the way to the top, screw the crimp die in until it contacts the shell holder, back the ram out, and then for a light crimp, advance the crimp die body exactly 1/2 turn and then snug it up. This is the nice thing about this, is that it is very accurate and very repeatable. All you do is take a case, put it in the shell holder, run it up until you feel a little bit of resistance at the end of the stroke, and you've imparted a light crimp. And you can see how fast and easy this is to do to each round. If you test them at the range and you find that you would like to experiment with a slightly heavier crimp, you would simply back this out, adjust it until it contacts the shell holder, and then the easiest way to do it is to simply advance it 1 full turn and then snug it up and try it again, and you'll get a crimp that's surprisingly like the pinch crimp of the Remington core lock that we showed you earlier. In any event, you can't apply too much crimp with the Lee crimp die, because as you'll see in this picture, these 4 collets will eventually get to a point where they close completely, and that's simply as far as you're going to be able to crimp the case around the bullet. So there's a realistic upper limit as well to keep you from applying too much crimp to the cases. So with that, we're going to finish up these 10 cases with the light crimp, and then we're going to take these rounds to the range and test them.